Hello. Last month I attended the Hack-a-day SuperCon. In this video I will be sharing my experience with you. Let's get started. I was traveling around during most of November, and I hadn't had a chance to get around to making a video, but I wanted to get one made before the end of the year. This is the first Hack-a-day SuperCon I ever attended, and I hadn't actually heard about it until earlier this year. When I heard about it, I was excited and I started watching for tickets to go on sale. When they did go on sale, I was able to snag them for the early bird price. I decided to drive down so I'd have my car available and I would save on airfare at the same time. I had a friend move down to the LA area earlier this year, and so I contacted her because I thought it'd be a great time to visit her. She said I could stay at her place, which helped save on hotel costs. I started heading down on Halloween after work because I didn't want to feel too crunched on time, and that actually ended up working out great. I had recently finished up writing some drivers from a Hackulator project in which I put a Raspberry Pi Zero W inside a TI-83 case. I'll tell you more about that later. The first day of the SuperCon was on a Friday, and I ended up getting there very early. I had to end up coming back a little bit later. After registering, I was given my badge, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later, and this mystery cube, along with a USB cable. I took a look around and started chatting with some fellow attendees and made friends. At this point, most people were either starting to hack their badge or working on the mystery of the cube. I decided to start on the cube and opened it up so I could see what components were inside. However, shortly after starting, they announced that they were beginning an SMD soldering challenge, and I'd heard about this beforehand and was very excited to join in. I ended up jumping in on the first heat of people competing. We were given 35 minutes to complete the circuit, which involved hand soldering the components without the use of a microscope down to the 0201 size, which is about the size of a grain of salt. Here's a demonstration of it working. We were judged on several categories including completion, functionality, the neatness of the soldering, and the time that we completed it. I ended up completing my circuit, but it wasn't quite working. I discovered later that the chip on there wasn't completely down all the way, and I discovered that by pressing on it, and it started working. I went back with a soldering iron a little bit later, and I touched that up, and it started functioning perfectly. So I did get even the tiny components on here correctly. While I was in the competition, Scotty Allen from Strange Parts showed up. If you haven't seen his iPhone videos yet, be sure to check out his channel. There's a link posted in the corner. After the competition, I helped him with cutting out stickers that he had brought with him from Shenzhen. He also brought some iPhone main boards and a few other cool things with him. He worked with another attendee to be sure there was a microscope and a hot air rework soldering station there. I desoldered the main memory chip from one of the iPhone boards, and he let me keep it. I shared some of the tips I learned from the SMD soldering challenge for this particular board with Scotty, and he tried his hand at the challenge in a later heat. Most of his SMD experience was with using a microscope, but his came out a little better than mine did. After that, I moved over to writing a badge hack in BASIC, since I had neither extra components with me nor a PIC programmer to write something in C. I didn't get very far on Friday because I was really enjoying talking to the people and showing off my Hackulator, which was a big hit. In the evening, hacking continued with a nice spread of food for dinner. I hung out with Scotty for a little while longer, but I wanted a little quiet time, so I spent a good chunk of the evening working on soldering some of the add-on connectors. I learned these add-on connectors are referred to as shitty add-ons. Here's a clip of me working on soldering them. I also had the opportunity to see some cool holographic technology developed by Looking Glass Factory. Here's an explanation of how it works.
So, this is a hologram camera. It's capturing and moving from one side to the other, capturing from many different perspectives. So it's taking 32 different photos of me, and then it's going to take those and assemble what we call a light field photo set, which is like a hologram. And it's going to display that holographic information here in this holographic display that my company makes. So if you take a look, let's pull me in focus, and there I am. And it's all about, like a hologram is all about just capturing and replaying a scene from many, many different perspectives at the same time.
On Saturday, I had 2 workshops scheduled. In the morning was a workshop on Eagle and Fusion 360. It ran over by an hour and ended up being about 98% about Eagle and 2% about Fusion, which I was a little bit disappointed about. Even though I'd used Eagle before, we were covering a lot of new stuff for me, and I kept getting lost from the screen that the instructor was on. What we did is we worked on creating a component from scratch, which I think is going to actually be really helpful. As a bonus, John Park from Adafruit was in the workshop with me, so I got to meet him, and that was a big plus. From there I had to walk about a third of a mile or so to the other building for my next workshop. I grabbed my bag of stuff that every attendee got, and was a little disappointed to find that by the time I got there, they were out of the Adafruit Halloween and t-shirts that were in my size. After asking directions and getting to the workshop, I ended up being about 10 minutes late. This workshop ended up being about programming on FPGA, and it ended up being my favorite workshop while I was there. There's a crowdfunding campaign going on for these right now, and there's so short time left, so I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description. What I ended up making here is actually an FPGA calculator. It works by setting the number using these dip switches, and then you can use the button up here to store the number that's in the dip switches into memory, which you can display using this button, or you can hit this button to subtract the current number shown with what's in the registry, or add the current number that's in here to what's in the registry. After the workshop, I worked on getting the FPGA toolchain set up on my laptop. It was taking a while to install, and I got most of the pieces in place, but I didn't quite get it functioning that day. Afterwards, I was in a short interview about the SMD soldering challenge. Here's a clip of it.
We are here live at the SMD challenge table with, real quick, Al Williams, who's been hosting the whole thing, and Melissa LeBlanc Williams, no relation, who was in the first heat of people completing the challenge. Let's kick off with Al. How has leading the challenge been? How many people?
Well, you know, we've had 6 heats of 6, so that's 36 if my math's right. And I was pretty surprised. I was expecting we'd have more people not...
Speak up.
I expected we would have more people not complete the challenge, but really we've had only a very few not complete. It's been really great to see everybody kind of get engaged, and we've had a lot of people do a lot of interesting work, good work.
That's awesome. And so you were in the first heat, and did you complete the tiny circuit?
I actually almost completed it in the challenge. I actually finished it right afterwards, but what had happened was I got the chip on there, and then I found out if I pushed it, it was going, so one of the leads is off. But I did complete all the parts on there.
That's impressive. I just want to give you a little round of applause for that.
Yay.
Really great. So how long have you been soldering?
I've been soldering for over 30 years now, but mostly doing through stuff. I've only been doing SMD stuff in the last few years.
And what was the smallest part you had soldered before this?
It had been 0603, and I actually have done that recently. And then now I've done the 0402 and the 0201.
That's 2 levels smaller than you've done before, right?
Wow. So that's a huge increase.
It's like the size of a grain of salt.
Maybe like the size of a small salt. And so were there any tricks you used to try to get down in there?
Yeah, well, the hard part was actually figuring out the orientation of the LEDs. So what ended up happening is I started with the smallest one first. I mean, I had heard that the little marking on the cathode. I ended up soldering in on one side and then testing the LED using a little battery tester, and it was correct, and so I just continued on from there.
It is interesting, though. We've seen a lot of different people use different tricks that you wouldn't think of, and I've learned a few things watching people do stuff. So, you know, these little parts, they fly away so easy. And one of the best tricks I saw was a guy took his phone, turned the light on, and he would hold it there on the edge of the table, and so the shadow of the part cast is bigger than the part. so you can actually find it by going, oh look, there's a shadow. Oh look, what's at the end of the shadow? There's my part. And I thought, wow, I'm going to be using that when I get home. So, and that wasn't the only thing. We've seen a lot of different techniques. Some of them may be better than others, but that was one of the gems I'll take home. So
that's great. And so who's currently top on the leaderboard?
So we got the leader was today on this time, which was 21 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm trying to remember who it was now. You caught me off guard. But then we also have a scoring system. And so I think the top score, there's several people with 4.75 out of 5. Nobody's done a perfect 5 yet. Still got 2 more heats to go, so maybe we'll get that perfect 5. But if it stays like it is, whoever has the fastest time at that 4.75 level will take the crown. So
that's exciting. We're going to have to update everyone online when those results are in.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks so much for chatting with us. This is ridiculous.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
In the evening, I had the opportunity to meet Stephanie, who is another YouTuber that I enjoy watching. You can view her channel at the link above. She brought her Daft Punk helmet, and I recorded a short clip of it in action.
Yeah, thank you.
At this point I was getting tired, so I decided to head back for the night. On Sunday morning, it was a daylight savings change, so I had an extra hour in the morning. I used that extra hour to finish getting the FPGA toolchain working on my laptop. I went in and we had 2 more workshops. For the first one I built this DrawBot. Here's a quick video of the build. I learned that it needed more power, and after the SuperCon I was able to stop at a Goodwill and get another power adapter. I played around with it some more and I was able to get it to print a custom image. Here's a little demonstration of it working, printing this image right here. After the workshop was over, I was able to get one of the non-functional boards, and I hope to get that working here soon. I looked at it under one of the microscopes while I was at the Hack-a-day SuperCon, and I believe there was some soldering around these components here that might have been a little iffy, and so I'm going to go ahead and try doing that when I get a chance. Worst case, I can get a free ESP32 out of it. During lunch, I got to talking with one of the volunteers and I was showing her my Hackulator, and so she did a quick impromptu interview and I kind of explained the functionality. Here's that clip.
Nice to meet you. I'm Liz. Can you tell me a little bit more about your project?
Yeah, it's I took a Raspberry Pi Zero W and I stuck it inside of a TI-83. This actually started off as like a dead TI calculator that I got off of eBay for like $8. So I wanted to resurrect it. I had to end up cutting like about a 1/4 inch up on the screen to be able to fit the LCD. It has a touch screen. And also on the inside here, I have like a little lithium-ion battery charger circuit that's the Adafruit PowerBoost 1000C, and a little lithium 2,000 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery. It has a custom circuit board that has 2 circuits on it.
Made by you.
Made by me. Designed by me, and I sent it off to Osh Park to have it made. It has a shift register on there so I can make use of the keypad because there weren't quite enough pins to have everything just going into the Raspberry Pi. It has also a analog to digital converter so that it can read the battery voltage, and then it'll display a little icon here. It looks like it's about half right now. Then on the keypad you can do different modes. Right now I have it in TI-83 mode. Let me try something here. I can change it by hitting mode and on. Okay. And then it changed the icon up there. I'm gonna try and start this emulator.
So if a student were to have this and their professor's walking by, can they put it back to the original calculator wise?
Not exactly, but it has an emulator on there, and if you make it full screen, if somebody glanced at it, they probably wouldn't be able to tell.
I will be doing another video that explains how I went about making the Hackulator here very soon. For the last workshop, I ended up actually going to the wrong workshop, but it turned out somebody else went to the wrong one too and went to the one I was supposed to go to, so it ended up working out. In the one I went to, we ended up getting this little kit of electronics here and built a little Wi-Fi connected Arduino. There was like 5 little projects that we did. I'd done a lot of similar stuff when I hacked the HDMI switch, and if you want to watch that video, you can go ahead and click on the link above. During the slow parts of the workshop, I worked on writing a little basic hack because we were going to be having the badge hacking ceremony later that day, and I ended up writing a program that would color cycle the RGB LED using pulse width modulation. So this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it's actually a really short program, around 15 lines of code, and you can make it yourself if you'd like. After the workshop, I started chatting with another attendee named Morgan, and he was working on a cool project. He and another attendee named Ben had developed a hardware-software hack for the badge based on the ESP32 that worked by allowing multiple badges to chat on a mesh network. Since their badge hack wasn't competing in the same category, I agreed to help them with demoing their project for the badge hacking ceremony. They ended up winning that, and here's a short clip from that.
Last minute coding.
Oh, no way.
Oh, sorry. I was chatting on the badge with some of my friends.
What is your name?
I'm Morgan. Me and Ben invented the badge, and we also implemented IRC on there. So not only did we implement the badge and IRC, we have about 8 of our friends chatting right now. This is possibly the first functioning example of the ESP32 mesh actually broadcasting. The documentation is interpretive, I suppose. This is made possible by this add-on board I made, so hardware component as well. And, oh yeah, we're just chatting with Alex over here, and Kenneth, and Ben, want to tell them what you worked on?
Yeah, all right.
So we have IRC, and you can actually hit the basic interpreter right from the command line. All right. So if I wanted to know,
Oh, what happened?
what happened? Oh dear. All right. Spoilers. Again.
Who keeps sending that?
All right. So you can actually do all the stuff like load a program, right? Oh, come on, guys, you're killing me. All right, so I load, oops, and typo. All right, so I've got a program loaded, and I can actually run this on other badges. So somebody send me something. Does anybody have a program? Roll call.
You got that? There is the hello world.
Yeah.
Executing.
Does anybody have any other programs?
I'm surprised you hasn't told us yet.
Oh, come on.
Oh, stop scrolling, Cannon! Stop scrolling!
Yeah, so you could use this to share code with other badges. So let me just get out of this obnoxious program. And, I can look at this program and all of its beautiful source code, I guess, and save that and, share it with other people across the mesh that is the badge.
Welcome to the badge.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you all.
He was so happy from winning that he let everyone actually just go ahead and keep their little add-on boards for it. After the badge hacking ceremony, they had their closing speech, and while many people went to a bar, I left and headed back to my friend's house. I left sunny LA a couple days later and headed up to Colorado to visit some family on Thanksgiving. While I was in Colorado, I visited a makerspace there, and I will be doing a video on that as well. Shortly after arriving there, I ordered a PIC programmer, and I decided to write a hack for my badge that made much better use of the hardware on it. I wrote a QR code generator using a QR code library that allows you to type in a URL or an email address that people can scan with their phone. As you make changes to the QR code, it stores the changes to the string that you've typed in the badge, and so resetting it will save the last string that you typed. I find this hack particularly useful because you can wear it around your neck at a conference, and if somebody wants to see your URL for your website, they can go ahead and take their phone, scan it, and it'll go right to that URL. Or you could do an email address, or a Twitter account, or YouTube channel, or whatever you want to do. I wish I'd had it at the SuperCon, but maybe I'll bring this badge to the next SuperCon that I attend, so people can go ahead and scan whatever I have typed in here. Shortly after that, I was on the Adafruit Show and Tell, showing off my QR code generator, and Lamar and PT had heard about me not getting the Halloween, and so they were nice enough to actually send me one. I went ahead, it didn't come with this lanyard, but I went ahead and ordered this with one of my other orders, because I order from there a lot actually. With it, I was able to develop a couple cool little side projects, which I usually post on Twitter from time to time. I've also recently been posting on Instagram, so go ahead and check me out there as well. Overall, I had a lot of fun, and my favorite part was meeting all the wonderful people. I definitely want to come back next year. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any other videos. The question I have for you is, what badge hacks would you have come up with for this badge? Leave your answer in the comments below.